we need to talk you through how to set up a still life. So you do need a few different objects, you need different object shapes, and you might not have great objects around your house. So let's talk you through a few things that you can do. First of all, if you can find anything like this shape here, kind of more of a complex shape. So if you have any sort of vase or anything like that, look at like mugs, drinking cups, that sort of thing. Anything that's not just a straight cylinder. So you want something that has like either kind of some kind of curvy shape or something like that. The only thing is that you do not want anything that's glass. If you can avoid reflections, then that is going to help you out a lot. So you need objects that are not see-through. So I know it's a little bit harder for you guys to find. It doesn't have to be a vase. You can have anything. A styrofoam cup will work, anything like that. So try and aim for something that's like a cylinder, something that's a little bit of a complex shape, where that's like, you can kind of see it's part cylinder right here, and then this is more of like an oval in a sense. And then something round, that's a ping pong ball. So a couple things. One, it's okay to use things that are colored, but realize that you are not going to color this in. So what I mean by that is, I can still see the highlight, I can still see the core shadow, see that? And then here's my reflected light. See how it's actually a little bit lighter here on the edge, because it's actually bouncing off of this back onto that. I'm gonna shade for value. This white is gonna be the same as this white. Those highlights are gonna be the same. This core shadow is gonna be the same as this core shadow. If I do it with watercolor paint, I'm not gonna just make this yellow if I'm doing this in full color. So depending on if you're in drawing or painting, you're going to be working with a little bit of different materials. But if you're in drawing, you're going to shade it based on highlight and shadow and all the range of values. If you're in painting and you're doing watercolor, you're going to use the same color for this and this, and you guys are going to use complementary colors for your shadows. But this highlight here is going to be the same color as this. You're not just going to color that in yellow. You're still looking at the highlight and shadow. So even if it's a colored object. Another thing that you can do, if you want to, pretty easy to make this into a white shape. If you got a piece of paper, all you do, put this here, put a thing of tape behind it, and all of a sudden you have a white cylinder. So if you need to do that to try and make your values a little bit easier to use and to see, that's great. You can do the same thing, this mug, even though it's black, I'm not just going to color this in black. We're going to talk about lighting in a second, but I'm still looking for highlight and shadow. Where you put your light is very important. You might have a lamp or light you can move. If not, use a window. If I were to actually open up this window right next to me, I could use that as my light source instead of the lamp. The big thing, the lamp is easier to illustrate this point. The big thing is that you cannot have the light shining straight down on it like that. I got a great shadow down here, but then all of this is just pure highlight. So for the project, I need to see that you can do the full range of values. So right now I can see a core shadow here, I can see a core shadow here, I can see a core shadow here. If I have too much lit brilliantly white, it's not going to work. Similarly, if your light is behind, what happens is it's like a silhouette effect. You're going to have too much shadow and you're not going to have enough to work with. So your job is to look through your lighting, figure out, do you want it like kind of subtle off to the side, like is that where you see good shadows? What happens if you make it closer? So that's too much. As I turn the lamp and it's kind of half away from me, I start getting some nice things going on, right? So that's part of the whole process. I can get a lot of a dark shadow in this respect, but now this is too evenly lit. So I need to make it to where I can see more information. I need some shadow and some movement on all parts of my object. So you gotta find a good spot. Normally in class, I would set these up for you guys, but you're on your own. So you do need to think through, how can you position the light? You need different shaped objects. Last thing, you need them to overlap to show depth. So this is slightly in front of this. If you look at the bottoms, the bottom of this is closer to me, that one's farther back. So I'm gonna have this closer. This is closer to me. See how it's farther down even just on the screen? So you have to create this depth and space in between these two objects. So you do have to have at least 3 objects and they need to overlap. They can't be lined up straight, okay? So what I mean by that is you cannot have this, equal to this, equal to this. Use your math. These cannot be on the same plane. They can't just be straight like that. Because see how like they all line up here? You can have one way back here. One back here is fine. But they have to overlap so that you have to work with depth. All right, last thing. If you have any details, say you're using, Hydro Flask or Camelback, ignore the writing. All right, that's it. On to the next part.